record this meeting, unless you've got a really good reason, please click "Got it" right now, because that means you know that you're being recorded. Know that if you put questions in the chat today, that will be part of the recording too. And we have a number of people who have indicated that they want to review this recording. So if you're going to, say, Arlene Quinn, are you the cousin of Patrick Quinn and Lake, Havasu? You might want to think about doing that privately rather than in the chat, so that Arlene doesn't have to divulge her cousin's whereabouts. We're really glad you're here. Statistical reporting is tedious at worst and really, really, really important at best. And it's one of the ways, the data way, that we keep in connection with one another to be a vibrant, healthy denomination, a vibrant, healthy presbytery, and most importantly, a family of vibrant, healthy congregations. So I'd invite you to begin with prayer with me, and we'll turn it over to our esteemed colleagues, Vicki and Marjorie. Please pray with me. God, we thank you for this day. Whether this is our first or our third or our fifth Zoom meeting of the day, we are thankful for the connections, the technological ones and the ones that you knit us together with in Christ, our Lord and Savior. In this season of Epiphany, oh God, help us to look for light, to follow light, to be enlightened and informed in ways we didn't even think possible, because you have plans for us, a vision for us, hopes and dreams with and for us that are greater than our imaginations. Thank you for reminding us that you are with us in this space and everywhere. We pray this in your Son's name. Amen. All righty, friends, it's all yours.
Thanks, Jennifer, and thanks for the introduction. And hello, everyone, and welcome to Stats Help 101. And I hope that I can answer some of your questions. Vicki is going to be sharing her screen today, so we're going to start right off. When we sent out earlier in, I believe it was just last month, we sent information. We also ask at this particular time, when we tell you about statistics, we also ask for you to complete an updated church information form that helps us keep our database and directory all current and up to date. So I just wanted to take you through a few steps. If you go to the website, and of course, I've told you about the Clerk of Session button that I created for you, or had created. Vicki did it, really. And so go to the website and click on the Clerk of Session button. And then you're going to go to, from that point, you're going to go down to the congregation information form. And if you click on that, you can fill this out right there on the website. The only required, and I'm going to tell you real quickly, I really recommend that you either use your tab button or your mouse to move between fields, because if you use your enter button, it's probably going to generate an error message for you. And so I just want to help you avoid that error message and you not have the information. There are only two required fields, and that is at the beginning, your church name. And then towards the end, there is a question that asks if you have a cemetery, a columbarium, a sprinkling garden, or if you don't have anything like that. We're just trying to do some data collecting on our own to see how many of our churches have specific areas for memorials, like a cemetery. So, and that's the only question that we would ask. And then you can continue to add your pastor, your clerk of session, your moderator, your treasurer. And if you keep all of this information on a file on your computer, you can just upload your file by hitting the browse button, and then copying your form, your information over to the website and telling it to insert, and it will automatically upload that information for us. If you don't have any kind of form, then you can enter the information in the fields below, and you will see one row, and you just entered the information. And when you get to the end of those fields, you'll see there's a little plus sign. And if you click on that plus sign, it will add another row for you. So you can add all the members of your session if you so desire, or you can keep it with your pastor, moderator, your clerk of session, and your treasurer, people that might get some information. And so, and once you're done with that, then you can, if you're not finished, you can save it and continue later. There's a button for that. Or if you're all complete, you can hit the submit button. And once you hit the submit button, if it went through okay, you're going to automatically receive a thank you from Vicki, and your submission was received. And that just helps us here at the Presbytery office to be able to keep our database current with any changes that your church might have made. Maybe you have a new clerk of session. Maybe you have a new pastor. Now, we probably have the information about the pastor, but you can update their personal information, like their phone number, or perhaps if they have a specific email address that's different than a personal email address, then we can update that. So that's that. We ask you to do this at the same time that you prepare for your statistics. And this is just some quick information for you to as you move forward. And once you've done that, then we can think about our statistical reporting. And Vicki is going to take you through. We have, while Vicki is showing you how she has bookmarked the particular web page, and so you can go to the statistics page, and if you have not done this before, you can do a search in your browser, and you can just type in PCUSA stats, and it should come up. You should have a link that says denominational roles and statistics. And then you can simply bookmark that, and you can save it so that in the future, you'll have it available to you easily. And while Jennifer talked about, statistics and why do we have to report our statistics? Well, there's a lot of reasons why, and Jennifer highlighted a couple of those, or a few of those, and it's a session responsibility that we find in the Book of Order. And it helps keeps us connected. It helps the Presbyterian Church as a whole understand the demographics of the entire denomination. And by them being able to do that, they can assess and evaluate all of this compiled data so that they helps develop programs for them to know the overall health of the church, and determine how best that the PCUSA can further the mission of Christ in the world. So, and it's really important that we try and put in as much accurate data as we possibly can in order for any assessment and evaluation to be correct. So that's just kind of some of the whys of why we do statistics. And so then once you're in, you're in this page, and there's you'll see that in the middle of the page there's an access the year-end statistics online reporting system and go to the online statistics entry system. Say that fast 3 times. So what you're going to do is you will find yourself at a login page, and you're going to enter your church's 5-digit PIN. Now you may say, well, our PIN number is only 4 numbers. Well, every PIN you have to enter a leading 0. So it ends up being a 5-digit PIN. Now we're just using one of the churches of this presbytery as an example. And so we've put in their username, and then we're going to put in their password. And Vicki, if you've got that password put in, you can go ahead and log in. So then you find us at the home page for the statistics. And I would say you have 3 tabs here. You have church, clerk, and statistics questions. So first of all, I would ask, review your church's information. That's the tab that it is the home button for this. So review your church's information. Is it all correct? If it's not, you can go to over on the right, you'll see tasks and edit mailing or edit physical. And so you can make edits to this information by clicking one of those edit buttons. And then you can make any changes that you might need to make. Maybe you changed, your address, maybe your physical address didn't change, but perhaps your mailing address changed. And so you could make those changes there. But if everything is correct, then you can go back to your home button, and then you can move forward. If you want to see your last year's statistical report, or the last time you reported, which will still show up as last year, you'll see there's a PDF button up by, it says church report. Excuse me. And you can click that PDF button and it will bring up last year's report. Excuse me. So there you see, this is the last year's report for this particular church. So then we can move to the next tab, which is the clerk. And here perhaps you have changed, you have a new clerk. And so this is where you want to review the information. So if you would, then you could probably go to edit mailing, and you can change the name of your clerk of session along with their phone number. And if they're receiving all of their mail at the church address, then that's just fine. You can probably leave that as it is, but you might want to change the phone number and the email address. And you can do that by, again, clicking on that edit mailing. And it would bring up another window that would allow you to edit that information. And once you've changed that information, you can then go ahead and save it, and all of that information will be updated for you. Then you can go back to the home button, and we are ready for statistics questions. The third tab is the statistics questions, and this is some information instructional information. It's pretty general, but it doesn't give you everything. And I will remind you, you do need to have session approval for submitting your congregation's statistics. And the due date for this year is February 9th of 2023. So all of our churches must have submitted their statistical data by the 9th of February. So you have approximately 1 month left to go. And if you find that you have any problems whatsoever, please go ahead and contact either the office or myself, and we can either walk you through putting in your own information, or we can put the information in for you. So then when you're ready to put in do your actual reporting, you'll see over on the right, you see a list of tasks. You've got 4 categories: your membership stats, your congregational life stats, your racial ethnic stats, and financial stats. And so taking these one at a time, we'll start with membership. Now, I want you to understand that the membership numbers are really critical, because budgets for per capita are based on these membership numbers, and they're really important. However, I also want you to understand that when per capita is figured for budgets, they're not using last year's information. They're using information, your membership numbers from 2 years ago. So you may say, I don't have that many people as members, but how many members did you have 2 years ago? And that's where your per capita is determined. However, you're reporting for 2022, your information. And this is a good reminder that the Book of Order does mandate us to regularly, annually review active members. So it's really critical that this information was done previous probably towards the end of 2022, or perhaps when your individual congregation was determining its budget for the upcoming year, that this information was reviewed. And your number may or may not match with that beginning membership number that you see at the top of the page. You may say, that's not our membership, but that's how it was calculated from the information that was entered from the year before. So if any congregation has missed a year of reporting statistics, that information rolls over. So if it's been a while since a congregation has entered any information and they're trying to play catch up, those numbers for the beginning membership may not match with what any given individual church says that they have on their rolls. And you can change, you can say, I have a different beginning membership, and Vicky's going to toggle that on. And when she toggles that on, then it will say what the new starting membership is. And so we just kind of played around with this one, and we just said, well, this church said that they had 26 members, not 28. So we entered that information. Now, it's really important for you to understand that if you go to the bottom of the page, you will see that we have this red box and it says in the active membership, their reading is 28, but it says there's an error. So whenever, it's really important for the ending active membership that has to balance with the information that's at the top of the page. And this can be really tricky and it can be really hard. And sometimes you're going to have to offset gains and losses in order to match what it is that that you have on at the top of the page. So for example, we want to end up with 26 members. So say you had maybe 2 deaths, and so now this is showing total losses of 6 with total gains of 2. You need to, it's a plus and minus, but you need to be able to end up with 26. So Vicki, let's see how we can do that without making it too complicated. And this is really tricky, and I felt really that we had, as we went through this, it was going to be really difficult for me to explain it. But let's put 26 as our ending balance. So we're gonna scroll down and we're gonna change this to 26. And let's say that we had, we deleted 2 members from the roll. Either, yeah, that's fine. Deaths is fine. So you see there, we've entered our ending membership at 26. We deleted the 2 members that we said that we didn't, but we had to, but in order to match, we had to say that there were 2 gains. So this is where I said you might have to offset. So it's a math problem, and if you go back and remove those 2 gains, Vicki, what do you get? What does it show? I just want them to see how that affects. So if that's a 0, and those are all zeros. See, so do you understand what I'm saying when I say offset? You did have, say, for example, 2 deaths. You had 2 losses, but you need to end up with 26 because you know that's what your membership numbers are. So in order, those deaths and those losses and gains have to help you get to that 26 number. Because somewhere along the line, PCUSA is saying you have 28 members. But you know for a fact that you do not have that many members, but you want to show your losses. So therefore you've got to offset. And that is the other thing that you can do, is that you can not change that number at the top. So let's go back up real quickly. And you know you have 26 members, and you want to make sure that, so you can remove that new starting membership number. You can toggle off different membership, toggle that, no, you have to toggle it off, Vicki. There you go. So we have 28, and you had 2 losses. So then you can report your, no, it does not automatically add or subtract. Thanks, Elizabeth. So then you see that with your 2 losses, it should show 26. Deleted, you have 28. You want 2 losses. Enter the 26. Enter the 26. And there you have, it's balanced. So this is, and once you are okay with your membership numbers, then you can click the accept button and your membership numbers have been recorded. So then when you're done with that page, then you can go to your congregational life stats. Here you would be adding any baptisms, and the manner of how the baptism was presented. You would enter your average weekly worship attendance. If you do not know what the average weekly attendance is, because your particular congregation does not keep a count of each week's attendance, you can leave this blank. However, you could take a sampling from, say, one given Sunday or from a month of Sundays and determine an average. And then, so that, but you can leave it blank if you have to. You have, are there friends from the congregation? Good question, Joel. Joel asks, should this be in-person attendance or live stream? You can, if your live stream has a way to count, you can include that in your average attendance. But it depends on whether or not you've got that toggled on for your live stream. You want to enter the number of ruling elders on your session, and the deacons is just a yes/no question. Then when you get down to your gender distribution and age distribution of members, these numbers will have to be equal to or less than your reported membership numbers. So you want to make sure that you don't enter, for example, 20 women and 15 men, for example, because that number would be over that membership number. When you come to the age distribution, do yourself a favor and make reasonable guesstimates, is what I'm going to call them. You may not know that you do not have to go around and ask all your people how old they are. You can probably tell or be fairly close in the ballpark. These are numbers, and it's an approximation. So I would just tell you, use your best judgment. You probably know if a person is over the age of 56. You may not know if they're in that 40 to 55 range, but you can be fairly close. And then you would enter the number of youth that you have in your congregation. And there, if you have Christian education person, they can probably give you those numbers and those age groups. If you're not sure, again, use your best judgment for what you think it might be. They're elementary to middle school. There could be some there. You might err one grade or 2 grades, but if you have a Christian education person, they probably can give you that information. And once you're finished with that, then you can click accept, and that information will be recorded. Then we would go to racial ethnic stats. And this is kind of the task on the right is a little misleading because there's other information in there. And because this also includes disability or impairments. And so there are visual or visible impairments of hearing, mobility, and sight, but there are other impairments that may not be easily discernible by your vision. People can have such things as heart disease, diabetes, epilepsy, mental conditions. They could have COPD. They could be fine one day, and another day they might have some issues. I shared with one of our congregations that the definition of invisible disabilities is a physical, mental, or neurological condition that's not visible from the outside, yet it can limit or challenge a person's movements, senses, or activities. In a lot of cases, you're going to have to use your own best judgment. You may think a person is perfectly fine and doesn't have any impairment. That's okay. But you may think that somebody might have an impairment. Remember, these are numbers that you are giving to the church. You're not singling out individuals per se. Now, if your congregation does something within your own congregational setting, that's all well and good, and you can look at that differently. But for statistical purposes, use your best judgment. So that's the top part of that page. And then the bottom part, we have racial composition. Now, you may or may not be an all-white congregation. If yours is, fine, that's an easy answer for you. However, there may be some people within your congregation that identify as something other than white. And so it behooves you to kind of have an idea of those individuals and be able to register that composition from your own particular congregation as to what those are. And again, this particular number for the racial ethnic composition should be equal to or less than your total church membership. And then once you're satisfied that you have all the information, you can click on that accept button, and then that information will be recorded. And finally, then you have the financial stats page. Now, it says up at the top, I'm going to give you a couple of things. These numbers do not need to balance. Treasurers go into a tailspin when you're asking for information because they are so concerned with balance. These numbers do not need to balance. And the other thing to remember is only use whole numbers. There's a, up at the top, it says whole dollars only, do not use punctuation or add cents. I've had to go in on different occasions to update a congregation's financial information because the numbers were skewed because somebody had tried to use decimal points and cents. So you can have a number like $10,500.50. And if you try and enter that information, it's going to read like $1,050,000, $50. So for example, Vicki, would you just show us and try and put in the budget, let's try budgeted expenses instead of income, because that's where probably it'd show up. So if she writes 10,500, she's going to try it. She can't put a decimal point or a period there. So, but she's going to put the 50. Well, what ends up is that when it looks like $1,050,050. Well, little churches of even whether it be income or expenses, little churches don't generally have $1 million budgets, for example. So just use either round up or round down. So if in this particular case, it should be 10,501 because it's 50 cents. So we'll round up to $10,501. So, and that would be, you always want to use whole numbers, never ever use cents. If it's 50 cents or above, round it up. If it's below, round down. So you might be able to access a lot of this information just from your financial reports from the last report of 2022. If your treasurer gives you complete detailed reports, a lot of this information might be available to you just from a financial report. However, you might want to seek out your treasurer's assistance with doing this. You'll need, can we scroll back up really quickly? Because, for example, you should be able to easily access your budgeted income and your budgeted expense from last year's budget that was approved in probably late 2021 for the year 2022. If you're a church that has a different fiscal year than the calendar year, then you're probably going to want to look at the budget for the year previous. So you'd be looking at, and there's a lot of good instructional information off to the left of your page, like for example, regular contributions or your investment income. There's information there to kind of give you an idea of what it is that you're looking for or your treasurer when you're putting these numbers together. There'll be requests for how much was spent for capital purposes or repairs. Say you had to put on a new roof or something like that, and you had a building fund for that. So you'll want to account for that there. Were you given any money for wills or bequests? Did you receive any money from the presbytery or the synod? That would be subsidy or aid that you would be accounting for. And you would also put in then any other income that you might have received, maybe rents. Maybe do you have a daycare that you receive rent from? And then down below then are your expenditures, like for local programs. Again, the information to the left of that gives you some good instructional material about what you're looking for in order to answer the questions for your finances. And then once you're feel that you have everything answered correctly, then you can click on the accept button and your information has been recorded. Finally, you have a page that says submit stats. It is not necessary that you have to click this last page for stats, because every time you clicked accept, that information was recorded. And once you click that submit stats, then you'll not be able to go back in and make changes should you find that you needed to. So it's up to you whether you decide that you want to, if you think everything is correct and ready to go, you can click that button, but those accept buttons already reported all your information. So I think I had one other question that I saw pop up in the chat. Let me see if I can. The budget information is for 2022 only. Yes. The information that you're reporting is for the calendar year of 2022. And that is it. Vicki and I are here to help you whenever you need it. And we can, like I said, we can walk you through, or we can actually fill out the information for you should that need to happen. I've been able to walk more than one person through just by talking to them on the phone. And so it's however you want us. We're here to help you, and we're here to help make this as easy and painless as possible for you. And are there any other questions? Arlene. Mute. You're on mute.
Right. Yes, my biggest question is I really don't understand the total membership. Now, just giving our personal one, we started the year January 1st with 133 members listed. We've had a total of 34 losses, which means as of December 31st, 2022, we had 99 members. But if I understand your directions, we're supposed to end up with 133, which doesn't make any sense.
No, you'll have to make adjustments so that if you have 99, that's the tricky part. And I may have to talk to you afterwards about how we come up with your correct number.
I mean, physically, we have 99 members.
You have 99.
Started out with 133, and we've removed or died, whatever. We had a couple of gains, but basically we lost 34 people. So how can I say that we have 133 members?
You're not going to say that you have 133. That's what your beginning membership was.
Yes.
But if you have 90, you know that you have 99.
Right.
And 34 is 133.
Yes.
You should be right. Well, you need to have 99 members at the bottom of your.
Yes. Yes,
So
I understand, but
so
I
you-
thought I thought
no,
from what you said, I had
no.
to have 133.
No,
The top and the
no,
bottom had to
no,
match. No,
no,
okay, all right.
no.
Then I misunderstood you.
When you subtract out, your losses,
Right,
you should end up with what you say you have. And
right,
if you add simple math, if you add your 99 with your 34, you will get 133.
right. But
Okay,
that,
that's how that matches up. The problem is,
okay,
if
I
you
got
say
it.
that you have, if you say we did not have 133 members,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
where the problem can come in.
Right, no, I'll take the 133. No
Okay.
problem there.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you. I apparently, it was just kind of scrambling in here, but now I'm okay.
It's tricky, especially with those congregations that say that PCUSA says we have more members than we have.
Right,
That's where the problem starts.
sure.
And so then you'd have to make the adjustments so that you end up with what you know that you have.
Very good. All right, we're on track.
Okay,
I have a question, please.
sure.
You said that we have to have session approval to submit the stats. Yet
Mhm.
at the same time, you're saying if I'm working on this worksheet, it's automatically submitting them. Do I have to work this all out on paper ahead of time, get session approval before I start plugging any of these numbers in?
Yes, and you can probably pull off the report. We also, there used to be a workbook. There no longer is a workbook. There is a sheet or PDF that I can send you, so that but it does not match it does not exactly look like what you're going to be filling out. And so it leads a lot of people to be confused, because the two pieces don't match the PDF file. However, I can make it available to you if you wish to have it.
Well, I have to ask some questions because I'm not quite sure how this works. I am the new clerk, but the person who's done our statistics for us is someone who only does the statistics. And so I need to get together and talk with him and see how he goes about doing it. But
Right.
I'm thinking, and he's not on session, so I'm thinking, how do I get this approved before he just plugs it all in?
Yeah.
I do have our report in our annual report from what he reported last year. And we're dealing with bigger numbers than some of these smaller churches. We had a grand total of 417
Mhm.
last year. And now I have to put in all the different ones. We're pretty good on having it current on a lot of the things. Age is going to be an issue. We're really going to have a problem with trying to figure out our disabilities in there. We've got such an older population, a lot of people on canes, walkers,
Right.
I don't know how we're even going to begin to guess all that.
Again, I think it's try to use your best judgment and you may have to guess.
Okay.
You may have to guess.
Estimate is a good word.
Yeah, my guesstimate is kind of a go-to for those kinds of things.
Okay. And we're also fitting in the same category as someone who asked earlier. We have a number of people who stream. They're not in well enough or don't feel well enough to come to church.
Right.
So that's going
Yeah.
to skew some of our numbers there too, if I do in-person attendance versus the other. And I'm not sure if we have an exact number or even a guesstimate on how many are necessarily streaming.
Right. Again, like I said, you could use a sample from one Sunday's church service if you wanted to. So if you have a counter on your live stream, you'll know how many people were in attendance. Well, you'll know how many households were in attendance.
Right.
But you're not going to know how many people. But you could
Right.
say, okay, well, I'm gonna assume that there was maybe half of them had at least two people and maybe half of them had one, and you could make a guesstimate there, and along with adding in the count from the live service or services, and then enter that information.
Okay.
Does that
All right.
make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
I also think too, Marjorie, that one of the important things is for the clerk or who's ever entering all of this information understands at their end what the numbers represent, so that next year, you know that your attendance number reflected whatever it did, you know, in person, you know, live stream, whatever.
That's
right?
another question I had for you, Jennifer. Did I understand correctly that our per capita is calculated off of our attendance or our membership from 2 years ago as opposed to now?
It's membership, not attendance.
No,
Right.
I mean, it's calculated off of 2 years ago. Is that what I heard her say?
Yes,
Okay,
it
'cause
is.
our numbers are going to be very different. Because of 2020, we did not meet, we did not purge, we did not do whatever. I know we just moved 50 some people to inactives.
We understand that. And this is the time for the commercial that says, you know, everybody gets that 2020, 2021 were anomalies in lots of respects. That part is what it is. You all decide to do what you will with the per capita invoice that you receive for your church's contribution. But it's a commercial for saying, to the extent that we are able to keep our rolls clean in our congregations, it behooves us to do that early and often, because we use the year back. It doesn't immediately help the congregation that's cleaning their rolls in December for the coming year. You know,
Okay.
to try to get it right this time, because there's a year's lag. And the reason for that, the why of that, is that nationally, churches are rolling in their statistics by a certain date, but the denomination is getting to them and rolling out the per capita invoices later on. So they need that the time they tell us. That's on. We're going to throw OGA under the bus for that one. Oops, that's in the recording. Uh-oh. That's that year lag is OGA's rule, is what I'm saying. It's not a PWV thing.
So it's a year lag, not a 2-year lag. So in other words, you're using our ones from 2021, not 20.
In 2023. No, we use the same thing the denomination does. And I mean, the full year, yes. The year,
So are you using what we reported in? Okay. Are you
we
using
use
the
the
numbers
same
that,
number you report.
are you using the numbers that we reported at the beginning of 2022 then?
No.
No,
2021.
correct. We use the same numbers as OGA because we too are required to do that.
Okay.
We're all in the same bus on that one. We're under.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did everybody's questions get answered, Marjorie?
Thank you,
Bill has his hand up.
Bree, and for talking us through all of this, and Vicky and Jennifer, both of you, for your help as well. Marjorie, you've done a great job walking us through, you know, how to do this important work, and I'm pretty confident that our clerk of session is going to be the one who's doing all this data entry, and I give thanks to her as well. I want to go back to something you said at the very beginning about the presbytery's information and that updating that form. If I am on the presbytery's website under the About Us with our contact information pulled up, if that is accurate, am I then to assume that we don't need to update anything in terms of the presbytery side, or
tell me where you're at on the on your congregation page?
yes? Or I guess the better question would be, not to avoid the assumption, would be, how would we know that it is time for us to update our information with the presbytery?
We do ask that every year, and a lot of that is to keep our directory updated with your clerk of session, your treasurer, pastor, we try to keep on top of that, but the clerk of session and the treasurer, they change, and we don't know that. If the pastor changes, we typically know that information. You can go to the website, and on your page, like you said about us, we have, a congregational page. And if I've had time, I try to update those the best that I can. And it lists your officers. The other thing that we use that update form for is your new session members, and we add them to the God Calls email list. That gives them an opportunity, your session members, to be in communication and know what's going on in the presbytery if they so choose. If they would prefer not to provide us the session member names, they can go to news and events on our website, and they can sign up themselves for God Calls. And I highly encourage that. It's one less step for the office to do, to add that information. But I do try to keep your church page as up to date as I possibly can. And you can go there and look and make sure that I have your email, contact email address updated, Facebook page, church website. All those things are on your church page on the Presbytery's website. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Anybody else?
Parting thoughts? You know how to reach Vicki and Marjorie. They are very responsive. We exist to encourage your congregations and your leaders. So thank you so much for being with us. Stay tuned for more help and more information in the weeks and months to come. God bless you as you approach your statistical reports. We will be.
Thank you all for helping us out. We really appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Take good
Thank you.
care.
Thank you,
Bless.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. John, were you ever able to hear us? You're muted.
Yes, I was able to watch on my computer and listen on my phone.
Good.
So
Good.
thank you. I think I caught it all, and I think we're in pretty good shape with the report this year.
Excellent.
Good deal,
Excellent.
good deal.
All right. Thank you.
Reach out
both.
if you need anything.
Yep,
All right.
All
Bye
right.
now.
Have a
bye
good day.
now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ben, you,
Just a quick question.
Sure.
This seems no less daunting than it did before I knew this much. But I appreciate all the info you've given us. And I've got several pages of notes. A question that somebody asked. If I'm filling that form out, I don't dare do that until I have